Hello, my name is Frederica. This is my very first video, and so I just want to introduce myself properly. Um, I'm 32 years old. I'm from the state of Maryland, raised and born in Baltimore City, in Park Heights, one of the worst neighborhoods with the most top crime. And I'm looking to share with you my views on life and the many things that we as black women, as black queens, go through. I would like to be someone that is very therapeutic and within sharing my thoughts and watching my channel. And we're going to cover a lot of topics, ranging from topics that's going to maybe make you want to cry, to topics that are maybe going to make you laugh so much that your cheeks are going to hurt. So, but this very first topic, I really want to jump right into it. Um, and it's to deal with something that is very deep, sisters. And I don't look at you as my subscribers. You are my sisters. And I will, everything that I do, it will be first shot taken, no double takes, straight off the top of my head. We're going to keep it 100% real because that's what I pride myself on. And we're going to take it way back, ladies. We're going to go way back into our childhood. And the thing that I want to talk about tonight on this beautiful Sunday will be child molestation. And the reason why I'm jumping so deep into this topic, because it's something that I would say about 85 to 90% of black women and girls have gone through, unfortunately. And even myself, and I will share my story as well with you all, have gone through. Now, I won't be naming any names. The names may be changed just so that everyone will feel comfortable. I don't want to put any names to any other stories, but relating to myself, it's me. So, at the very young age of about 3 or 4 years old, I was molested by someone very close to me, somebody who was supposed to protect me, if anything, and not hurt me. That would be my dad. And of course, he's now living in another state. And later on in life, he was charged with a very high profile case involving many other children for molestation. So he's now a convicted child molester, as we say. And I just want to touch base on that because growing up in a black community, that's something that I don't think that we touch base on enough. I think that's something that we let slide. I don't think that's something we talk about. I think that we normalize it when the child has reached puberty and is about the age of 15, 16 years old. And I feel like it's something that we need to take more serious because the white community, they take it serious. And we just don't. And it affects our children, even at 15, 16 years old. You don't have to be 4 or 5 years old, 8 or 9 years old to be affected by this. It's something that affects you. And so I was molested by my dad. I grew up in something like, you would say, like a trap house in Baltimore City, Maryland. And in the area of Park Heights, I always had junkies coming in and out of my home, which was my grandmother's home that she shared with my mother and myself, and my uncles and aunts. And it just was not a good situation. And when I grew up, I did not know as a teenage girl the effects that it had on me. I just know that it happened to me, and I still have the memory of it to this day, even though I was so young. But I did not realize that it affected me the way it did. When I grew up to be an older woman, I was over sexual. Even as a teenage girl, starting at the age of about 12 or 13 years old, um, I was very sexual, and I felt like I needed um, that to make me feel better. And that was the only way I felt better. And it felt good to me to be sexual with a man, because not physically. It was more of mentally and emotionally, because I felt more accepted in that way. And I felt like he cared about me, and it felt good. I think that's something that a lot of us black girls and women have gone through. And it is a constant, reoccurring generational curse that this happens to us and our families, with those that are close to us and that love us, uncles, sometimes even aunts, cousins, fathers, and unfortunately sometimes mothers as well inflict this upon the children in the family. And it has a very, very, very huge impact on us. um, I grew up with a mother who was not there for me the way she should have. And I made a lot of decisions on my own. And being a young, dumb girl in Baltimore City, um, I didn't have those decision making skills that put my life in, in a greatest perspective that it could have been as of now. I wanted to be a doctor as a child. That didn't happen for me because of the decisions that I made as a teenage girl. Um, my mind was all messed up. It was all wrong. Everything. Um, and men, I can say, is something that I've always leaned towards because I've wanted the love, the feeling that came with being with a man. It made me feel good. And that became my greatest downfall in life. It really did. I think I put a lot of focus on that because it made me feel good. It was a drug to me. Um, and so now here I am at 32 years old, and I'm not where I wanted to be at 32 years old as the young Drika looking back, but I'm definitely further than I could have been. And when I look back and look to some of the people that I've known that has went through this, I spoke to a guy friend yesterday actually, and that's what inspired me to want to make this first video about child molestation. And he said, for some reason, most of the women that I attract have been molested as children or raped. And I let him know that that's because most of black women have been molested or raped. And we don't think that is a big deal until we older and it starts affecting us. It starts to affect the way that we behave in our relationships with our friends, with men, and with our children. And if you don't see that difference, if you have not acknowledged that as of yet, then that may be something that you want to acknowledge as being a blocker in your relationships. Because it really is. It messes with your mind. It tears you down. It bothers your self-esteem. And so you deal with situations that a person with self-esteem, high self-esteem, wouldn't put themselves through. They wouldn't deal with because of what you went through. It's very hurtful. It's very painful. Um, and it's something that the black community normalizes when there is a girl that looks of age, or she reached a certain amount of years in her life. When I was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, I was dating and having relationships with men that were in their mid to late 20s, even early 20s, in their 30s. And somehow we think that a man that's 23 years old and a 16-year-old girl is okay because she's almost 18. All she has is 2 years. But that almost is a big thing. It's a big deal. girls that age should be dating males that are in that age bracket. A 20-something-year-old male when I look back on those men that I've slept with and that I had those relationships with in that time period, I realized that they were taking advantage of me. And as a little girl, I did not see that because I thought that I was a woman and I thought that I was grown, but I wasn't. And the reason I felt this way is because I grew up way more than I should have, not being able to enjoy a childhood because of what happened to me, you know? And a lot of us are not able to be children. We grow up fast and we think that we're grown, and these things really affect us later on in life. And then I look back, I see these men very well took advantage of me. And so, child molestation is something that we need to touch base on. In the Black community, we do tell our children, if somebody, we tell little girls, if somebody touch you here, somebody touch you here, somebody touch you here, please let me know. It's not right. Nobody's supposed to touch you there. But we never say one thing that would make a big difference. And that thing is, if they do that to you, if someone touches you there, it's not your fault, because that's what predators use. They use guilt. They use guilt to keep these secrets. They make our children feel like if you tell, you'll get in trouble. And you know how dirty you feel after something like that happens to you? How you feel like maybe you deserved it. And that's a lot of reason why it's not reported. I'm going to call this little girl Tracy. When I was a younger girl, I grew up with a friend who was a few years younger than me named Tracy. Tracy grew up in a house full of teenage boys to men reaching into their mid-20s when we were about 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. And I always had a great spirit of discernment. To me, Tracy was just a little bit too hot. And I felt like something was going on to make her that way. And so I asked her, and I'm sure she remembers this, on a playground in the back of Park Heights. Is somebody at home doing something sexual to you? Why do you act this way? Of course, Tracy did not have her mother, unfortunately. She was in the streets getting high. And I'm not sure what happened about her dad, but she let me know she was living with her aunt and that her older cousins were taking advantage of her. They were coming in the house drunk, having sex with her, and she was so tiny. I see Tracy today on my social media, and she looks normal. She has a daughter she had at a very young age, like myself. She just recently, a few years ago, had a baby boy, and they take a lot of beautiful pictures together, and she just seems like she grew up to be a very beautiful woman. But I know that it affects her today. The abuse that she underwent, not only sexually, but physically in that household that she was in, by her family, because her mom was not there, affects her. And I believe that her aunt knew, because they were her sons that were doing it to her. That older generation, speak no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. The ones that allow their husbands to rape their daughters and, all types of nonsense like that. I believe she knew. I look at her life and I make no judgments on any of my sisters. There's really nothing to judge, but I just know that is painful. We don't get the therapy we need. We don't get the counseling we need. We don't heal. And so we grow up and we don't heal. and we have children, and it passes on to the next generation. And I'm not saying that the molestation passes on to the next generation, because I've done no such thing to any of my children. But the anger, the hurt, the way you raise your children, it passes on to the next generation in some sort of way. And they wonder why we so angry. Black women can't be angry. Black women can't be weak. Black women can't show none of that. In a world where men want to be men, we can't do it. And so subjects like this is something that we are definitely going to cover. And a range of other things. This is just a sample of the things that we'll go over and talk about. I actually watched an episode of Black China, the real Black China, and when her mom was in counseling, both her and her mom spoke of how they both had sex with older men at an early age, and out of it, China was conceived with her mom, and China went on to do the same thing. And it's just generation of young girls allowing these men to take advantage of them, and it's so normal that nothing is spoken of it, when in actuality these men need to be their ass in jail, because sticking your penis in a 15-16-year-old girl is disgusting to me, as a mother of a 16-year-old daughter who has also experienced some of those same things that her mom did. It's just so generational, and it's so hurtful. And most of the time, by the time if we ever realize how bad it affected us, because Black women are so strong, and we hold things in, and we hold everything around us down. You know what I'm saying? That it's the last thing that we deal with. And our mental health really needs to be the first thing that we deal with, sisters. We need to find a good Black therapist, whether you feel more comfortable with a woman or a man. And we need to heal. We just need to heal. Most of the time, it starts with your daddy. Whether if he leaves, or like my father, which I wish he would have just left. Then you just realize that every man that you have ever came across has abused you in some type of way. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But what I would like for you all to do today, sisters, is to not let this moment get the best of you. Because I told you we was going to talk about some real uncomfortable things. But to take a second to acknowledge, if you haven't yet, everything that this has done to you, or to someone you possibly know that is acting out, that is super sexual, that you just can't understand. And realize that this was a big impact on your or their lives. Make a plan to deal with it and get some type of counseling. Because unfortunately, in the Black community, we sweep those things under the mat. And these are things that we need to deal with. Because we need to be healthy, Black women. Because we are raising children, paying bills, working every day. We are the muscle in our family. We need to take care of us first. Because how in the hell are we going to take care of anybody else if we can't do that? All right? So I want you to take a moment to do that. And I don't want to put too much pressure on you to talk about forgiveness and all that stuff. We'll cover that in another video, but definitely take a moment to do that. I'll be posting videos maybe 2 or 3 a week. Sometimes I may post 1 a week, but my goal is definitely going to be to hit 1,000 subscribers within a month's time. So thank you for tuning in.